There are multiple moments where you have to stop and think, why is it that I am the only Black person in this room? If you look at the geospatial sector as a whole, it's hard not to notice that lack of diversity. So I think for me, those moments are really where I start noticing that something need to change. I thought it was my duty, as in one of the prominent companies in geospatial, it was also my duty to be more vocal, and not only being vocal, but to try to bring change. And that's where I would say I start my mission of making sure that DI is in everyone's mind within the geospatial industry.
Hello and welcome to WGIC, the World Geospatial Industry Council. Our guest today is a well-known senior executive in geospatial industry, an author, a board member, a DEI champion, and winner of multiple awards. Albert Anoubon Momo, co-founder GeoDEV International. Welcome to this episode on WGIC.
Thank you, Banu. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
A hearty congratulations on winning the coveted WGIC DEI Trailblazer Individual Champion Award for 2024.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was a nice surprise to be the winner of that award, especially given the fact that, I was on the other side, right? So I was leading the DEI, I was the chair of the DEI committee at WGIC when that award was set up. So being a winner of an award that you were part of the inception was something really cool.
Understand. Albert, you are a multifaceted personality. You have a great passion for advocating the use of geospatial tools for developmental challenges, and you birthed the book Geospatial to the Rescue. And you're equally passionate about promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in the geospatial industry. How does this feel to receive the award that you were instrumental in instituting it?
Yes, it was really cool, like I said, and also it was I would say like a testament to what I believe in and the work that we all put together. Because I don't see just myself behind this award. I see all the people that we that work with me, especially on the DEI committee of the WGIC. So I really wanted to share the awards with them, and I wanted to share the awards with all the people who have been instrumental in bringing DEI in the geospatial industry, in the conversations in the geospatial industry.
True that the award belongs to all the people. Albert, I just wanted to, circle back on your long career in the geospatial industry, and you held various leadership positions as well. Was there a point in your career when you began being drawn towards DEI? And if yes, why?
There are multiple moments where you have to stop and think, why is it that I am the only Black person in this room? Or why is it that there is a lack of minorities, being gender or race or other type of minorities in the room? And if you look at the geospatial sector as a whole, it's hard not to notice that lack of diversity. So I think for me, those moments are really where I start noticing that something need to change. And in 2020, during the movement when George, coming from the George Floyd assassination, and noticing that companies across various industries were taking DEI more seriously, I thought it was my duty, as in one of the prominent companies in geospatial, it was also my duty to be more vocal, and not only being vocal, but to try to bring change. And that's where I would say I start my mission of making sure that DEI is in everyone's mind within the geospatial industry.
Uh, you rightly said from 2020 there has been a huge awareness around DEI, and certainly it is a lot more than having people of multiple ethnicities in one company or at one meeting table. And is there a business imperative to having DEI at workplace? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think DEI, well implemented, brings a lot to a company. It's not only a right thing to do on the human aspect, but it's also good for business. And I'm going to tell you why I think that it's a good business decision to implement DEI principles or to push for DEI. First of all, it enhances creativity and innovation. You know, having people coming with different ideas, different angles is always good for business. It will, like I said, enhance creativity and innovation. It will definitely improve decision making because you can see with a broader view, you know, how things can impact other people. And when you are recognized as a company that is very keen on DI, you will attract and retain top talent. You know, people will like to work with you, and you will also have better employee engagement and productivity because they are in a place where they feel welcome, they feel accepted. And of course, it's good for the reputation and image of the company. And you know, when you have a diverse workforce, when you are known as an inclusive company, you can also have access to a broader market because people see you as a good company to work with. And that will generate, you know, better financial performances. And you know, in some countries it will bring some legal and ethical considerations, right? There are places where they want to see that in order to give you some businesses. And you know, I start by saying on a human aspect, it was also good because you know it's good to see a innovation at the leadership. It's good to see diverse leadership, and it's also good to see that a company works in reducing barriers to success.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. On that note, I would like to ask you a few questions of you serving as the chair of Trimble Foundation, right? The philanthropic and charitable arm of Trimble. Can you tell us about how you have steered the foundation to embrace DEI as one of its three pillars? And have there been any important activities the foundation has undertaken during your stint?
So when I took the helm of the foundation, there were two main pillars that the foundation used to as pillars, you know, to in order to make donations. One was woman education and empowerment, and the second one was disaster recovery, which are really two important aspects of what we do. So because it was, you know, actually during that period where, you know, DI was becoming more and more important in our industry, I thought it was a good decision to add a third pillar that would be DEI. And I'm glad that, you know, everyone was on board with the idea of adding DEI as one of the pillar and one of the pillars, and being intentional in making donations that will help entities that are working on DI. And that's exactly what we did. We made donations to some entities, especially here in the US, that are promoting DI, being entities, you know, in the Black Lives Matter arena, or being entity helping with sexual people that are discriminated through because of the sexual orientations. And one very important decision that we made was to set up the Gladys West scholarship. And as you know, Gladys West is the hidden figure in the GPS. She's the woman beyond the calculations that end up being the GPS. And unfortunately, like her counterparts at NASA, that were not recognized for what they did for the space program. You know, she was not recognized for all the work that she did with GPS. But you know, it's good to notice that now she's known as one of the models of the GPS. So it was good for us to actually set up a scholarship that bear her name. So that's something that I would say I'm really proud of.
Okay, that's fantastic to know. So, one related question I would like to ask, because you come with a lot of experience of having worked with several organizations, and in spite of well-meaning policies at the organization level, a lot of time disparities exist in either career development opportunities or institutional support given to professionals. Can you tell us from your experiences of including work culture practices or the lack thereof at the organizations you have been associated with or have seen in your career?
So whenever I'm approached to give my ideas on implementing DEI, I always say we have to focus on three things. You have to hire, people from diverse backgrounds. You have to retain those people, and you have to promote those people. And so you need to have those three elements in mind. So how can I hire a more diverse workforce? How can I retain the ones that I bring to the company, and how can I promote them? And with that, you have to set up some strategies that you need to follow. And the first one is, you have to go where they are. Usually people have the tendency to hire people around, within their own circles. But if you want a more diverse workforce, you have to go where those people are. And you have to be very intentional in not hiring people because of their race or the gender, or any other aspect of diversity. All we ask for is to go where they are and pick the best people that you can find. Best because of not who they are, but best because of what they can bring to the company. So the worst thing is to be known as a DII, right? No one wants to be that. But we're just asking for opportunities. So you want to give the opportunities to people to be interviewed, to showcase their talent, to showcase that they belong where they should be. And retaining people is also the same idea. You don't want people to feel like, oh, you just brought me here because you wanted to have a DEI hire, right? You want to retain people because it creates an environment that where they feel accepted, an inclusive environment, and also an environment where the talent can be recognized, the talent can be showcased, and that's how you will retain them. And of course, you have also to be very intentional in promoting those who are doing well, right? You don't want people to stuck in their careers. So and those are, like you said, the three elements that I think companies need to be aware of.
Okay. A lot of times, as you have said, even though companies kind of bring diverse workforce at the entry level, but as the leadership level grows, they're either kind of filtered out, or there is no continuum in terms of how diverse the workforce is as they move up the organization levels, right? So, is there any ways how organizations can maintain this diversity across the leadership continuum?
Yes, and it's by being intentional.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, that third element, promotion, is extremely important. And I recall within WGIC, we actually work on leadership, the diversity in the leadership of geospatial companies, and we have to be honest. that title is actually misleading, because the title should be lack of diversity in the leadership of geospatial companies. So we want leaders to be very, very intentional, in promoting people from different background, diverse people, bringing them to leadership positions. And once again, the idea is not just to, promote someone because of how they look, but to
That's
to
right.
to, to create a culture where they can actually be promoted, because you give them a rooms to grow, you give them, rooms to be the better, to be better at what they do, and to become better leaders.
I think you're absolutely right when you said the organizations have to be very intentional, because intentionality actually brings leadership development at every level within the organization, right?
Absolutely.
So, Albert, I want to ask you a couple of questions. You have served as the first chair of WGI's DEI committee. You have mentioned that, and you played a very key role in developing the committee's strategy, instituting the DEI Trailblazer Awards that you're a recipient right now, and have had several discussions round roundtables on this important aspect across the world. But I want to understand, in your experience and as a committee chair, what is a perception of the status of DEI adoption in the geospatial industry, especially in the West? Is DEI still a checkbox item for geospatial companies, or has the industry evolved to a point where it understands its true benefits?
But it's really difficult to answer this question. There are times where you really feel like it's just checking boxes, to be
Exactly.
honest, right? Because the lack of diversity that I mentioned, you still see that. When you go to those geospatial events, and where, we tend to attend, you notice, it's hard not to notice the lack of diversity, right? It's hard not to notice that. And when you read some of the policies that companies are implemented, sometimes is really good material,
Mm.
but you feel like maybe they just wrote those policies to feel good. Are they really implementing those policies? And as part of the VGIC, as you rightfully mentioned, we actually, put out there some white papers, and some uh, documentations on how we can improve diversity. Are we there yet? The real answer is no, we are not. And if I have a 2 cents, I really want to take the opportunity of this interview to clarify what I think companies should do,
Exactly.
right? I think every single company should establish clear GR goals and vision.
Mm.
I mean, it has to be clear from the leadership. This is what we want to achieve when it comes to DEI. They have to build a diverse leadership team. It is really a shame that we still, in 2024, lack the leadership, the diversity within leadership of most of geospatial companies. We have to create mentorship and sponsorship programs within companies, and maybe even across, the whole. WGIC can play a role, in making sure that we have a mentorship and sponsorship program, even at that level, and most importantly within companies. We have to create, and coming back to leadership, we need a pipeline, where we create inclusive leadership. The people that know that they are on their way to higher position, and we work for them to get there. And we need to have this open dialogue and feedback. We had that, around the 2020, 2021, but I'm afraid that we are not having that dialogue anymore. So we need to
Okay.
bring that back. We need to have an open dialogue and feedback. And having, the type of conversation that we're having now, where we say, where are we now? Are we making progress? Are we getting to where we want to be? And I'm sorry to have that such a long list, but we also need to have the training. And the same thing there. I think, 3-4 years ago, companies were pushing for DEI training, and I think they have stopped now. But we need to do more. We need to measure success. So we need to have DEI included in performance management. We need to have to monitor that progress and adapt, whenever we see that we have to make adjustment. Our leaders have to lead by example. They have to be champions of DI every single day. And incorporate DI in everything, in the product, in the service, in be transparent and having equitable policies. Those are things that I want the leaders of geospatial companies to be very, very intentional about.
That's true. It's a wide-ranging agenda, but that is something that is very needed for the industry to be more equitable, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So, Albert, one last question I want to ask you is at least at an awareness level standpoint, a lot of geospatial companies, especially the larger geospatial companies, are aware, are bringing in some best practices into their companies. But a vast majority, or a big majority of companies in geospatial industry are micro and small enterprises, isn't it? So, how, according to you, does the DEI imperative change in the context of small enterprises? And what are some of the ways small enterprises can embrace DEI practices and still make a difference in their communities and within their organizations?
Actually, I think small companies are actually even more flexible, right? So they can, in my mind, they can easily include DEI principles, DEI values into their habit, because of that flexibility. And also, in large companies, even though people are not talking a lot about it, not only there are barriers that you cannot see, and there are people who will, because it's a nice thing to say, will say, I'm for DI, but every single day they do all they can, for DI not to be implemented, especially at a, or mid-level management. Um, in small companies, it's easy to identify those who are considered against DEI and, work with them, whereas it's more difficult to find those people in large companies, right? So in small companies, you can find them and actually educate them. So it's easy to educate people within a small entity, and making sure, once again, that everyone through, from the top to the bottom, everyone is a champion of DEI, and that no one feels that DEI will be against him. Because I think that's the struggle that people may have. Like, okay, when they start talking about DEI, maybe they want to hire someone to replace me. Maybe, because I'm part of the majority, I'm not well accepted anymore. No, actually, when we say inclusion, we want to include everyone, even those that are considered now part of the majority. So in small companies, it's really easy to be a very neat family. So a family where actually DEI become part of the genes of the entity.
Okay, so in closing, do you have any advice to geospatial companies who are inclined to include DI practice but haven't started or haven't seen the real benefit of DEI?
Yeah, so I will go back to the question that you previously asked about the benefit of DEI, and I hope people will all agree with me that DEI is good for business. it's not only on the human place the right thing to do, but it's also good for business. And I will also use again that intentional part. Leaders have to be intentional in making sure that DEI is part of the day-to-day practices, and that they create an environment where people feel accepted, people are included, and having a diverse workforce, having a diverse leadership is good for everyone. It's good for the company, and it's good for humanity.
Yes, I'm absolutely in sync with your thoughts, Albert, on that. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences, sharing your thoughts on this most important topic of the industry.
Thank you so much, Banu. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.